This tutorial is just a repeat of what I showed in class on how to create the design for your multiple color wheels. First thing you're going to do is you're just going to set up your document. So File New. And these are going to be 15 by 11 or 11 by 15. It's totally up to you whether you want your end result to be tall or wide. You'll hit Create. And again, I usually switch over to inches just because then the measurements in the other document are inches. So hit Create, and you'll get a blank artboard. The first thing we need to do is to start with a circle for our color wheel. So grab your ellipse tool, and when you draw the circle, make sure that you hold the Shift key. Then you know it's a perfect 1-to-1 ratio as you draw. You get to determine the size of your circle, but know that you're going to do multiple circles on this page. So you don't want to take up a ton of space on it. Maybe I want this one to be my larger one to fill up most of this space, but I'm going to have some other small ones around. And you can change the sizes of these later. So it's not a big deal. Just make sure you start with this circle. The next step is that we want to divide this circle into 12 even pie pieces. This is because the color wheel has 12 even pie pieces. So you're going to just use your straight line tool. And again, you're going to hold the Shift key to make it a perfect vertical, but you want to line your cursor up with the middle of the circle. So you can see on my screen right now that I'm perfectly aligned because of that pink line going right down to the middle of the circle. Holding my Shift key, I'm drawing my line, and you can go beyond the edges of the circle. Next, I need to determine what angle I need to rotate an additional line to make sure that I have uniform pie pieces going around this circle, and I need 12 of them. So if you think about a circle, it's 360 degrees going all the way around. I need to divide it into 12 even pie pieces, so 360 divided by 12, you get 30 degrees, right? So I need another line going right through the middle, but changed up 30 degrees. In your object menu, you can transform and rotate. This window pops up. You get to plug in the amount. You can see that mine already says 30 in it. It's previewing it for me. And it's previewing if I were to change that vertical line 30 degrees. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to just move that line. Instead, I want to make a copy of it. So Illustrator gives you that option. You can copy that line, but move it 30 degrees. And now you can see that I have a pie piece started, actually in 2 pie pieces. All right, I'm just going to quickly show you that it's going to work out as a color wheel with 12 even pie pieces, but you would stop right here. Okay, there is also a transform option where you can transform again or Command D. And I like to think of it as just duplicate. That's how I remember the D, Command duplicate, what you just did. And so duplicate, Command D, Command D, Command D. So you can see that I have a full color wheel, evenly spaced. All right, I'm going to step back to where you were. Okay, at this point, what we need to do is we need to actually create this pie piece by itself. So I need to just select all the pieces. So I have my selection tool and I just scroll around the whole thing. Then a new window for you is called Pathfinder. And you might not see it over here because it's not a default. So you'll have to go into Window, Pathfinder. This is a series of options where you can take multiple objects. And you can see I have multiple objects. I have a circle and I have 2 lines. Multiple objects and create a new object. And each one of these, the picture shows you what it's going to do, but also if you hover above, a word is going to pop up and tell you what it actually does. So for instance, this first option, if you take 2 shapes, and then click this option, it's going to merge them together to create a new shape. If you do this one, if you take 2 shapes, it's going to retain the background one and then eliminate the foreground one. This one's going to take the intersection of them both. This is going to take everything but the intersection. Then down here, This one is going to take all of your objects and divide them up, split them up with how their edges meet. And that's actually what I want to do. Okay, I want to take this circle and slice, cut out with these lines, this pie piece. So I'm going to hit divide. Now this is thought of as a group now. I can see it in the upper left corner. So I need to object ungroup if I want to go just get that pie piece. Okay, so I can delete that one. Don't need this extra one, and I can delete the side one. So what I have left is the pie piece. And this is what I want to design and then eventually reflect and copy rotations all the way around to create my designed color wheel. Okay, so now the design is up to you. I'm just gonna quickly draw some things. You're gonna take way more care in doing this, but you can draw lines. Just divide it up here. You can do straight lines. You can draw shapes if you want, and even these shapes can go over the edges. Because again, we'll probably divide this up again just to get rid of anything that falls outside of it. You can use your pen tool to draw things. Zoom in here. Like I said, I want you guys to take way more care in what you're designing. You can see that I have holes in this. I told you I was going over the edges. You guys take your time. Think about how you want this design to flow. I just want to quickly throw something down so you guys can see what will happen. Okay, like I said, because I have something going over the edge, I'm going to actually divide that up again. It is a group. You can ungroup it. I also want to show you guys that if something is a group and you want to select something within that group, you can do group selection. That has the plus symbol. So I click held the direct select, and then underneath it is the group selection tool. And I can select things within the group without ungrouping it. So now you can see that I grabbed that part of the circle that fell outside of the line. Okay, but everything else remained a group, and that's what I wanted. Okay, so the next step is that we want to make a reflection of this. We want to mirror image it. So once again, it's under the object menu, and you can choose transform, reflect. That's one way to do it. The other way is we actually have a reflection tool hidden underneath your rotate tool. Now let me point out, do you see that little target? It's in turquoise on mine. You can, in fact you have to, you first click where you want this to reflect around. And so I want to reflect around this edge. Click. Okay, you can see how the target moved. Now, I can rotate around this edge. I know I'm trying to point it out, but I just shook the design. Okay, so you first establish where you want it to rotate around, and then if you hold the option key, guys, you have to hold the option key because that's how you make the copy. See, I have my double cursor now. If I hold the option key, now I can grab it and reflect around. And you can see I just mirrored the option. I'm going to step back, Command Z. I want to do it through the transform, object transform. Do the same thing. So there's two options on how to do this. I'm going to reflect it. And again, notice that I can choose which direction to reflect around. It doesn't matter. Make a copy of it. But this time, I didn't choose where the target was, but that's okay. I can still move this and make it line up. right, there it is. So either way works. We just need to make sure and have that mirror image. Let's see what I was talking about. If you have a lot of diagonals, it's going to do really interesting things when you reflect it. If you just did a straight across line like mine right here, it didn't really make much change. Okay, the next step is we need to take both of these pie pieces and then start to copy and rotate them around to create our entire circle for our color wheel. So you are going to select both of these. And this time I definitely want you to go through the tools to rotate instead of, it is up here, rotate. But I'd rather you do it with a tool because, again, you can target where you want it to rotate around. And this part is really important. We want to rotate around the center point. So this little turquoise target, I'm just going to first click right here, click. All right, now my target is on this inner point. And then I'm going to hold my Option key. If you hold the Option key, you get the double cursor, and that means you're going to pull out a copy. I'm going to pull out a copy of this and rotate it around until it lines up with the edge. And then let go. So now I have 4 pie pieces for my color wheel. Now, remember back when I said we can transform again with Command D, duplicate that last step that we did. We can continue and just go around the whole circle. So there was the duplicate. I'm going to duplicate again. Command D, Command D, Command D. And there's our entire color wheel, a design for our color wheel. And if you want, you can just group these together, object, group, and then wherever you click, you'll move the entire color wheel. Wherever you click, you'll select it all. And if you ever want to resize it, just make sure you hold that Shift key, okay, Shift, and then drag it out because you'll keep the proportions. It will always remain a circle.